You think the deep-sea anglerfish looks terrifying enough? You are dead wrong. 200 million years before they were even exist, there was a deep-sea maniac who carved industrial punk into its very DNA and had already equipped its mouth with a semi-automatic chainsaw. This is the Permian Period freak from 290 million years ago, the Helicoprion. But you might find this hard to believe. To figure out exactly where this buzzsaw grew, scientists actually argued about it for a full 100 years, ever since its fossil was unearthed in 1899. People stared at this coil, looking like mosquito-repellent incense, covered entirely in spikes, and were completely baffled. To find a proper place for this spare part, it turned into a massive game of blind men touching an elephant. Some said it was a dorsal fin. Some said it was a meteor hammer on its tail. And the most outrageous guess of all, one guy literally drew it right on its nose, suggesting this shark curled its snout like an elephant, keeping this spiked trunk rolled up normally, and whipping it out to whip people during fights. It wasn't until 2013 that modern CT scans revealed the truth. This spiral was neither a dorsal fin or a tail. It was the Helicoprion's lower jaw. Furthermore, it was a built-in chainsaw deeply embedded in its throat. Now that we've figured out its appearance, let's take a look at this creature's terrifying specs. The Helicoprion lived 290 million years ago, making it far more ancient than the dinosaurs. Its body length easily exceeded 10 meters, double the length of today's great white shark. With this massive size, it was literally a heavy bus speeding through the deep sea. This might be the most twisted mechanical design on Earth. While other sharks spit out their lost teeth, it was an extreme harder. Its teeth kept growing but never fell out. As new teeth grew from the back, they forcibly pushed the old teeth further into its mouth. Over time, they curled up right in the middle of the lower jaw, forming a perfect Fibonacci spiral. This is the equivalent of installing a never-stopping, living conveyor belt in its mouth. This also meant its mouth was no longer used for crushing, but for slicing. This was a living, breathing piece of industrial machinery attached to flesh. Just imagine, when it locked onto its prey, usually those slippery ancient squids, it didn't need to bite hard. Its lower jaw would violently snap and roll. Faced with this maneuver, any mollusk would be hit by this high-speed spinning saw blade and instantly sliced into sashimi. It was the undisputed grim reaper of mollusks. However, this chainsaw maniac also had an Achilles heel. Nature gave it an invincible god-tier weapon, but also dug a massive pitfall for it. First, because its lower jaw curled up too tightly, it didn't have room for a single upper tooth. It had an extreme underbite. What's even more fatal, this giant spiral was stuck directly at the opening of its throat, blocking its gullet completely. This meant that this deep-sea overlord was forced to eat soft food its entire life. Anything with a hard shell or bones, it couldn't eat at all. If something was just a little too hard, it would either break its teeth or get stuck in its throat. Impossible to swallow. The majestic sea king of the Permian period was ironically forced, because its teeth grew too well, to live like a toothless old lady who could only drink porridge, relying on this soft food survival trick. Although it survived the Great Permian mass extinction, it ultimately couldn't escape the next patch update. That purge, which nearly wiped out the Earth, forced the remaining survivors, in order to stay alive, to start an insanely fierce evolutionary arms race. Entering the Triassic period, the prey evolved. They either swam blazingly fast or grew thick, hard shells. At this point, the Helicoprion's heavy, meat-only chainsaw instantly became a liability. It couldn't catch up, nor could it slice through. Armed with top-tier gear in vain, it couldn't find a single vulnerable opponent to strike. Finally, after running rampant for 40 million years, the craziest buzzsaw in prehistory completely lost its power in the ocean. Just like the Dunkleosteus, they were both students on the evolutionary tree who took extreme specializations. Using their fossils, they left behind a bloody lesson. In this endless game of survival, putting all your stat points entirely into attack often leads to the most gruesome death. The ones who truly have the last laugh are never those extremists desperately clinging to top-tier gear. Instead, they are the ones who can always adapt to nature's patch updates, the well-rounded hexagon warriors.